I heard it was very efficient in Georgia. I heard it was very efficient. But again, you'd have to ask the state governments because just one of those things you're going to have to ask them. Yeah, go ahead, please. Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. You expressed some concerns about social media companies unfairly censoring conservatives during the election. Do you anticipate working with Democrats to regulate these companies, or are you satisfied with the way things are?
I would do that, yeah. I would look at that very seriously. I think it's a serious problem. At the same time, you start getting into speech. It's a very dangerous problem. That could be the beginning. So it's very dangerous. Believe it or not, I'm one that really likes free speech. A lot of people don't understand that. But I am a big believer. When you start regulating, a lot of bad things can happen. But I would certainly talk to the Democrats if they want to do that. And I think they do want to do that. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Former President Barack Obama famously said that he had a pen and a phone to use executive power on issues like immigration. Do you see yourself using executive power to get some of your immigration agenda done?
I do. I think that some of it I can use executive power on some, not all. But I mean, he certainly used it. He used it on DACA. And when he did it, he said something to the effect that, I'm not allowed to do this, it'll never hold up, but I'm doing it anyway. And he did it, and they found judges that approved it. We also found judges that didn't approve it, so it's obviously going to be determined in the Supreme Court. And if the court rules in favor of what President Obama thinks they should rule, which is what he said, then I will probably have a deal with the Democrats in a very short period of time. We were very close to having a deal until we got that very strange ruling.
You also made some promises about immigration during the campaign, and I want to know if you're going to follow through with them. Are you going to aggressively...
Which one are you talking about?
Birthright citizenship. Are you going to sign an executive order to ban...
We are looking at it very seriously, absolutely.
I mean, is yes or no? Or
and I believe we have the absolute right, but that's another case that will be determined by the Supreme Court of the United States.
Are you going to send 15,000 troops to the border?
You've been reading the same documents as I have. You know exactly what I'm doing. You know exactly what I'm doing. So go ahead. What's your next question?
Also, on the Khashoggi matter, we've been more than a month since the death of Mr. Khashoggi, the journalist.
Very sad thing, very terrible thing.
Do you think Saudi Arabia is guilty of having him murdered? And if so, what kind of punishment will be involved? I'll have a much stronger
opinion on that subject over the next week, and I'm working very closely with Congress. We're working together, some very talented people, and we're working with Congress, we're working with Turkey, and we're working with Saudi Arabia, and I'm forming a very strong opinion. Go ahead, John. Go ahead, John.
Mr. President, just a quick follow-up. You said something about Nancy Pelosi. You said that Nancy Pelosi, she loves our country. Do you regret some of the things you said during the campaign? I mean, various times you said Democrats want to put a wrecking ball to our future or destroy our country.
I believe that. With their current policy, they're using a wrecking ball on our country. I believe that 100%. This would be a wrecking ball. But I think there's a compromise somewhere, and I think that could be really good for our country. Okay, how about one more?
Do you regret the ad? Do you regret the ad that you did that was branded as a racist ad, and even Fox News wouldn't air it, NBC wouldn't air it?
Do I regret it?
Networks? Yeah.
Surprised you'd ask me that question. I do not. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, sir. And I think we'd all love to have more of these if you're willing. In 2017, shortly after you took office, your Homeland Security Department shuttered a program to counter homegrown right-wing extremism, white supremacism, and related terrorist groups, domestic terrorist groups, and redirected that funding towards fighting Islamic terrorism. Do you believe that white supremacist terrorists, right-wing terrorists, these homegrown terrorists on that side of the spectrum are a problem, sir? And what is your administration going to do about it? I do believe that's a problem. I believe all hate is a problem, but I do believe that is a problem. What are you going to do about it? And it's a problem we want to solve. How, okay. Sir? What are you going to do about it, sir? Sir, what are you going to do about it? Go ahead. You cut off the funding.
Mr. President, you've said...
No, we have given funding for that, a lot of funding, but I do believe it's a problem. And can I tell you what? It's a problem that I don't like even a little bit. Go ahead.
Aixa Diaz with Hearst Television. You've said, pretend I'm on the ballot yesterday. You called it a referendum on your presidency. Many local districts across the country rejected your midterm message, particularly suburban women. How do you bridge that divide now? Also with the
I
influx
think
of
my
women
message
coming
was
into
very well
Congress.
received. I mean, just look at the results. Midterm elections are disasters for sitting presidents and administrations. This has been a very successful, and look, you can write it any way you want, and if you disagree with me, this has been an incredibly successful one. You look at the races. How about Ohio? I didn't even mention. I mentioned Florida. I mentioned Georgia. How about the governor of Ohio?
What's your message to suburban women voters?
Excuse me. A fantastic man who was down in the polls, and everybody was talking about this person that was so great. And I went up there, and I did a rally. And they have now a great governor. You're going to have a great governor in Ohio for hopefully a long period of time, but for 4 years. And Mike DeWine is a fantastic person. And I went up there for 2 reasons, because I felt that his opposition was not a good person, and we know a lot about him. And I felt that Mike was a fantastic person. And he won. And not only did he win, he won easily. So add that to Florida, and add that to Georgia, and add that to all of the other races that we won, outside even of the Senate races, which were the biggest of all. Because these were races that, and Mike Pence can tell you, and some of the folks over here can tell you, these were races that were going to be unopposed. We were not going to oppose certain of the people running, certain senators. They said they couldn't be beaten. They said Heidi could not be beaten. Please don't do it. They couldn't. This was a year out.
What about in the suburban
Excuse me,
districts? How do you get those back?
You're telling me about popularity. They said many of these people, when I said 9 out of 11, but I said when many of these people, these weren't like easy races, these were tough races. And so I think the level of popularity, the first question I was asked was about, well, what have you learned? What about your own popularity? I think that's what I learned. I was very well received by this great country, by the people of our great country. And I'm very proud of that, because I love the people of this country. These people, we are the greatest people. I love the people of our country.
What do you say to women,
and
Mr.
I'll tell you
President?
something. When you look at the races that we won in Florida, which we weren't expected to win, and Georgia, which we weren't expected to win, and Ohio, which we weren't expected to win, and one, I mean, you look at some of them, the number of votes that we got is incredible. So I'm really happy with not only the way it came out, but the response to me as your president. And as your president, I've made our country safe. I've rebuilt, and I'm in the process of rebuilding our military, and the jobs are here, every one of them built here. We're going to have the strongest, very shortly, we're going to have the strongest military our country has ever had. I've done more for the vets than any president has done, certainly in many, many decades, with choice and with other things, as you know, with other things. But our vets are doing better than they've ever done. But if you look at choice alone, I mean, just take a look at what we've done with choice. But the people of our country are very happy with the job that I'm doing. And you know, one of the things that they want so much is security. They want security, both at the border. They want it with our military. They want it with law enforcement. They want it with ICE. You know, we've taken out thousands of MS-13 gang members, thousands out of, it's hard to believe, thousands out of our country. Women of our country who are incredible people, they want security, they want safety, they want financial security also. We've done that. But they want physical security. And we've taken out thousands of people that shouldn't be in this country. But we have to get strong immigration laws so they don't come in. We want laws where they don't come in, where we don't have to take them out per se. And again, I'm very honored to be with all of you. It was a great day yesterday. It was a great evening. I think we had a tremendous success, and hopefully the tone can get better.
How will you change that?
Hopefully the tone can get a lot better. And I really believe it begins with the media.